Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Eisen Summer presents the Oaken. Um, and today we will be finishing up the jealousy series with part 7, titled "A Purpose Fulfilled." So we'll be going into the Bible to show how that the dream that Joseph had of his purpose has been fulfilled, and how despite everything that has happened to him, he bears no ill will towards his brothers, because everything that happened prepared him to be able to succeed in fulfilling his purpose. So to show this, we'll be going into Genesis chapter 44, verses 1 through 18. Um, and we'll be going to verses 33 and 34. Then we'll be going to Genesis 45, verses 1 through 28. Then we'll move over and finish up with chapter 46, and we'll go into verses 1 through 7, then 28 through 34 to round it off. Hey, what's good, Zero? What's good, Yori? Yeah, jealousy is good. Yes, with my other uh my first stream I did that, jealousy. We should celebrate those people who are jealous and who dislike and hate us. They think that we're better than them. They're the ones who think so highly of us. So we should celebrate them. So and I think that jealousy kind of, for those who are constructive in nature, can use that to fuel. You use it as fuel to help you to be more and be greater, um, in realizing your purpose. So I want to thank y'all for coming out, and we'll get started here. So I'll get started here with Genesis chapter 44, 1 through 18. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's grain money in the mouth of the sack. Put my personal cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the youngest, with his grain money. And the steward did as Joseph had told him. As soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their donkeys. When they had left the city and were not yet far away, Joseph said to his steward, get up, follow after the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, why have you repaid evil to us for good paid to you? Is this not my Lord's drinking cup, and the one which he uses for divination? You have done a great and unforgivable wrong in doing this. Now, Joseph, is kind of he's kind of working him here to find out the state of his family as well. This whole period, to find out what's going on, to find out more, and I find it kind of find it interesting how, you know, how he prepares all his stewards for Hebrew customs that is a part of their life, and his brothers have yet to figure out. It's like, man, how do they know all of this? Being, that our culture typically is associated with shepherds, and to Egyptians, shepherds are viewed as low. They pretty much detest them. So they just don't put two and two together yet to figure out that, man, somebody has got to be telling them about the Hebrew customs and precepts and codes that they follow. But moving forward, so the steward overtook them, and he said these words to them. They said to him, why does my Lord speak these things? Far be it from your service to do such a thing. Please remember the money which we found in the mouths of our sacks we have brought back to you from the land of Canaan. Is it likely then that we would steal silver or gold from your master's house? With whomever of your servants your master's cup is found, let him die, and the rest of us will be my Lord's slaves. And the steward said, now let it be as you say. He with whom the cup is found will be my slave, but the rest of you shall be blameless. So, you know, you see here that the steward quickly changes around, um, what they have unknowingly set themselves up for, because they say here in passage 9, with whomever of your servants your master's cup is found, let him die, and the rest of us will be my Lord's slaves. You know, you could tell that they're speaking so certain that that it's not that the cup wouldn't be with them, because because they didn't steal, but they're speaking so certain to the fact that they think that they can actually put their lives or someone else's lives up on the chopping block, without realizing that somebody's been putting these the money for the grain in the bags. Peace, Jessica. Peace, Lawrence. Yeah, I did start before 1:30. Soul Provider's got a stream going at around 2, so I kind of wanted to get a little time in before that, before heading over there to check that out. So yeah, I started a little bit earlier today. But getting back to verse 11. Then every man quickly lowered his sack to the ground, and each man opened his sack, confident the cup would not be found among them. The steward searched, beginning with the eldest and ending with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes in grief, and after each man had loaded his donkey again, they returned to the city. When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, he was still there, and they fell to the ground before him. Joseph spoke harshly to them. What is this thing that you have done? Do you not realize that such a man as I can indeed practice divination and foretell everything you do without outside knowledge of it? So Judah said, what can we say to my Lord? What can we reply? Or how can we clear ourselves, since God has exposed the sin and guilt of your servants? Behold, we are my Lord's slaves, the rest of us, as well as he with whom the cup is found. But Joseph said, far be it from me that I should do that. But the man in whose hand the cup has been found, he will be my servant. And as for the rest of you, get up and go in peace to your father. Then Judah approached him and said, oh, my Lord, please let your servant say a word to you in private, and do not let your anger blaze against your servant. For you are equal to Pharaoh, so I speak as if directly to him. I skipped over the next part because, pretty much only thing it does, it reiterates what happens where, he talked between the message that they had before about, Benjamin, who the cup was found with, being the youngest of Rachel's children, because and in their eyes being the only one, because they believe that Joseph is dead after they sold him into slavery. It talks about how they talked with their father about how they had to bring Benjamin with them to be able to get food during this time of famine, and if anything should happen, that he would die. So so that's all it reiterates what happened earlier, the whole conversation from earlier. So now I'll be skipping that and going to verse 33 and 34, where it says, now therefore, what Judah says to to Joseph in private, now therefore, please let your servant Judah remain here instead of the youth, to be a slave to my Lord, and let the young man go home with his brothers. How can I go up to my father if the young man is not with me? For I fear that I would see the tragedy that would overtake my elderly father if Benjamin does not return. So now I'll be moving to chapter 45, and I'll be going verses 1 through 28. And this is a pretty long and filled one here. But yeah, got some more that's coming in here late. Peace, Shing, Shane, Wagner, New, Dorian. Peace to all y'all. Thanks for coming out. But now I'll be starting here with chapter 45, verse 1 through 28. Then Joseph could not control himself any longer in front of all those who attended him, and he called out, "Have everyone leave me." So no man stood there when Joseph revealed himself to his brothers. Joseph wept aloud, and the Egyptians who had just left him heard it, and the household of Pharaoh heard it. Then Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But his brothers were speechless, for they were stunned and dismayed by the fact that they were in Joseph's presence. And Joseph said to his brothers, "Please come closer to me." And they approached him, and he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me ahead of you to save life and preserve our family. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are still 5 more years in which there will be no plowing and harvesting. God sent me to Egypt ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on the earth and to keep you alive by a great escape. So now it was not you who sent me here, but God. And he has made me a father to Pharaoh and Lord of all his household and ruler over all the land of Egypt. So you see here, and it goes with the title that, that his purpose, he's telling them that the purpose that he had of the dream he had is now being fulfilled. And as I explained, he bears no ill will with them because he understands that what he went through, he had to. This is the only way for them to be able to survive the famine that was coming. Everything that he went through prepared him to have the mind and the mentality to be able to rule and make the harsh and tough decisions that need to be made for this time of famine that was coming. His pragmatic approach to everything that needed to be done during this time, everything that he went through helped prepare him for that. So he shows them and tells them, he has no ill will towards them because, what he went through, he had to go through to become what he is today. So verse 10, you shall live in the land of Goshen, the best pasture land of Egypt, and you shall be close to me, you and your children and your grandchildren, your flocks and your herds, and all you have. There I will provide for you and sustain you, so that you and your household and all that are yours may not become impoverished, for there are still 5 years of famine to come. Look, your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see that I am speaking to you personally in your language, not through an interpreter. Now you must tell my father of all my splendor and power in Egypt, and of everything that you have seen, and you must hurry and bring my father down here. Then he embraced his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck. He kissed all his brothers and wept on them, and afterwards his brothers talked with him. When the news was heard in Pharaoh's house that Joseph's brothers had come, it pleased Pharaoh and his servants. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, tell your brothers, do this, load your animals and return to the land of Canaan without delay, and get your father and your households and come to me. I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you will eat the fat, meaning the finest produce of the land. Now you brothers of Joseph are ordered by Pharaoh. Do this, take your wagons from the land of Egypt, for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. Do not be concerned with your goods, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours. And the sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the command of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the journey. To each of them Joseph gave changes of clothing, gave changes of clothing. But to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver and 5 changes of clothing. To his father he sent the following: 10 male donkeys loaded with grain and bread and provisions for his father to supply all who were with him on the journey. So he sent his brothers away, and as they departed, he said to them, see that you do not quarrel on the journey about how to explain this to our father. So they went up from Egypt and came to the land of Canaan to Jacob their father, and they said to him, Joseph is still alive, And indeed, he is ruler over all the land of Egypt. But Jacob was stunned, and his heart almost stopped beating because he did not believe them. When they told him everything that Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived, and Israel said, which is Jacob, said, "It is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." Now we'll be moving into chapter 46. This last chapter, I'll be reading verses 1 through 7 and verses 28 through 34. What's good, Nimble Man? Thanks for coming out. Thanks for coming out. Give me a minute here. All right, I'm back. Thank you. Okay, so with verse 1, chapter 46. So Israel set out with all that he had and came to Beersheba, where both his father and grandfather had worshipped God, and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And God spoke to Israel in visions of the night and said, "Jacob, Jacob." And he said, "Here I am." And he said, "I am God, the God of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you and your descendants a great nation there. I will go down with you to Egypt, and I will also surely bring you, your people, up again, and Joseph will put his hand on your eyes to close them at the time of your death." So Jacob set out from Beersheba, and the sons of Israel carried their father Jacob and their children and their wives in the wagons that Pharaoh had sent to carry him. And they took their livestock and the possessions which they acquired in the land of Canaan and came to Egypt. Jacob and all his descendants with him, his sons and his grandsons, his daughters and granddaughters, and all his descendants he brought with him to Egypt. Now I'll be going to verses, excuse me, I'll be reading verses 28 to 34 to finish it out. All right. All right. Now I'm there. Now Jacob, Israel, sent Judah ahead of him to Joseph to direct him to Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. Then Joseph prepared his chariot and went up to meet Israel, his father, in Goshen. As soon as he presented himself before him, authenticating his identity, he fell on his father's neck and wept on his neck a long time. And Israel said to Joseph, "Now let me die in peace, since I have seen your face and know that you are still alive." This goes, I think this part right here, it makes me think a lot of what Lawrence speaks about, talking about, a father and their children and all that. So just knowing that everything that happened to Joseph and to see him alive, and also what what happened in his dream when God came to him, it just put him at ease to know as a father that his children were good, that his son was good, alive and well and doing well. So, not being a father, I can't speak to that, but, I'm sure a lot of y'all out there can who have kids. But I think that's something that, that was a very important thing that stuck out to me in my mind, just knowing that he can rest in peace now, knowing that his son Joseph is alive and doing well. Peace, Ice. What's good, Agon? Now, continue with verse 31. Joseph said to his brothers and to his father's household, "I will go up and tell Pharaoh and say to him," hold on. Okay. "My brothers and my father's household who are in the land of Canaan have come to me. And the men are shepherds, for they have been keepers of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. And it shall be that when Pharaoh calls you and says, 'What is your occupation?' you shall say, 'Your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth until now, both we and our fathers before us. in order that you may live separately and securely in the land of Goshen. For every shepherd is repulsive to the Egyptians. So, finishing there, Joseph told them what they needed to hear, to say to Pharaoh. That way they would be, they could live securely, because of the simple fact, as he stated, that every shepherd is repulsive to Egyptians. So whenever times got hard with the famine, they wouldn't dare go to take from them to survive, because shepherds are that repulsive to them. But to finish up, to say that whenever you read on and you see that what he does, though, what Pharaoh does, is that because of Joseph and his respect for him, and knowing what's to come, he puts the best of Joseph's family, the best shepherd, he makes them in charge of his own personal livestock, to see that everything will be prosperous and benefit him, benefit his own personal livestock as well. So even though shepherds are repulsive to Egyptians, he's got enough sense to know, hey, look, everything that Joseph has done for me so far has been great. And it would be foolish to not allow the best of these shepherds that he comes from to be in charge of my own personal livestock, to make everything better. But it's all I have here. That's why I want to finish up on this particular subject here with jealousy part 7. I want to thank everyone for coming out. Want to just say, don't forget to hit that like button before you leave. Appreciate it. I hope that I'm going to make a whole new separate deal for the jealousy deal. That way, everybody can just go into my content and check out that whole particular series. I got to get to work on that. I'll probably do it here in the next few days to put all that together. I think that this story is very good, and as far as helping us to keep focus on our purpose, no matter what enemies you have, staying focused on that purpose. In the end, you'll find your way out of the problems that they set for you in your life. Just staying focused on that purpose, you'll see that way out of the problems that they try and create for you. But it's a very, very good story, a very well story to learn from and to gain insight in how you should operate in your everyday lives, and how you can apply these things to benefit you. But that's all I have. I'll be starting up the barbershop talk here in a few minutes. But I'm going to end this one. I just want to say peace, thank you, and that's it. Later, everybody.